And now please join us in welcoming Dr. David Johnson. He has a love for the ocean that's continued since he was a child, growing up in Orange County, body surfing and snorkeling. When he retired and moved to San Luis Obispo in 2022, he found the Friends of the Elephant Seals and decided that would be a great way to spend his volunteer time as an extension of his love for the ocean. If you have any questions during the presentation, if you could write them in the chat, and you could write them to me, Chat with Nancy Foley at MCAS. That way, at the end of the presentation, then I can bring them up and present them to David at that point. So thanks everyone for being here. And now, thank you, David, for coming. And we're all looking forward to your talk.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Just give me a minute here to get my screen up and get going. I'm kind of a Zoom newbie, so give me a second here. Okay, I'm ready to go. Thanks for having me here, and thanks for showing up on this evening to learn a little bit about the northern elephant seals at the Piedras Blancas Rookery. I'm an avid scuba diver and enthusiast of the marine world. I spent quite a bit of time underwater. I think I've spent over 30 days underwater if you accumulate all the time I've spent there. My wife and I have traveled all over the world scuba diving. Just recently, we came back from the Maldives and the Philippines. And this is something we really enjoy doing. As a scuba diver, I worked with the Aquarium of the Pacific. I was a volunteer scuba diver. They have one of the largest volunteer scuba diving operations in the world. We had 175 volunteer scuba divers at one point. We did everything from feeding the animals to even a few sharks that we fed to cleaning the exhibits. And about half the time I would have a full face mask on with a microphone, and I would give presentations from underwater. So if you've ever been scared about giving presentations in public, you should try doing it from 28 feet underwater with a shark swimming between your legs. When I moved up north to the San Luis Obispo area from Orange County, I found the Friends of the Elephant Seals. This was a natural extension for me to get involved with, as it's involved with the marine environment. And once a week, I get to go up and talk to really wonderful people from all over the world about these elephant seals. And when I say all over the world, I really mean that. We get visitors I've talked to people from Spain, Portugal, from the Far East, literally all over the world. The Central Coast is on their radar, and for some reason, a lot of them end up at our rookery up north of San Simeon. So the most interesting way to talk about elephant seals is the changing of the seasons on the beach at Piedras Blancas. There is an ebb and flow of constant change on the beach. Every week, the scene changes, and every few months, drastic changes take place. First, let's get a feel for these wonderful animals we call elephant seals. They get their name from the distinct male anatomy of the nasal area called the proboscis. You can see the male elephant seal here on this picture. Males develop their proboscis at about ages 4 to 5, and this is said to look similar to an elephant's long nose. The elephant seal is a marine mammal, and there are 4 types of marine mammals: the cetaceans, which are whales, dolphins, porpoises; the sirenians, manatees, and dugongs; the physipeds, polar bears, and sea otters; and finally, pinnipeds, seals, including elephant seals, sea lions, and walruses. And pinniped simply means flipper-footed, referring to animals that live in the ocean but can come out for extended periods of time. There's so many stories that can be told about elephant seals, and I will tell you many, but the story I hope you will all walk away with is that the elephant seals are one of the greatest conservation stories ever recorded. that yes, if we act together and utilize the best information science can give us, we can and do make a difference. Elephant seals are sexually dimorphic. Females are 9 to 12 feet and get up to 900 to 1,800 pounds. Now, if you think that's big, look at these male elephant seals, 14 to 16 feet and 3,000 to 5,000 pounds. The males begin to develop that proboscis at about ages 4 to 5, as I said earlier. They're not usually large enough to breed until ages 9 or 10. As we will see later, size matters with these big guys, as only the biggest and strongest will mate. 50% of elephant seals born will survive their first year. A lot of them become victims of being trampled by the male elephant seals during the fighting, and some of them just don't get big enough to survive. 2 of 3 males survive each year. That's a 30% mortality rate. 6 of 7 females survive each year at a 14% mortality rate. Males can live up to 14 years old, and females can live into their 20s. The Piedras, Blancas Rookery, if you've ever been up there, it's just a wonderful drive up there past San Simeon. It extends about 8 miles north and south of Point Piedras Blancas. It is a state marine reserve and a state marine conservation area. If you have ever been up there, you know that there is a great viewing area that is mostly wheelchair accessible and gets you up and close to the elephant seals without bothering them. And probably, as importantly, they can't hurt you. Rookeries extend all the way from Baja, California, up into Canada, including the Channel Islands. Piedras Blancas happens to be the largest rookery on the mainland at about 20,000 elephant seals. The largest rookeries, however, are in the Channel Islands. I want to give you a short history of the northern elephant seals. Excuse me. In the late 1800s, these guys were thought to be extinct. They were killed for their blubber. Blubber was used to burn as oil for light and heat. In the late 1800s, a small colony, approximately 25 to 50 elephant seals, was found on an island called Guadalupe Island in Mexico. By 1922, the Mexican government granted protected status. As their population grew, they spread north and were protected by the US government. Elephant seals started showing up, as you can see in this graph, at Piedras Blancas in the 1990s. The population has grown steadily to today's number of around 20,000. You can see that the number has plateaued, and in recent surveys, we've seen maybe a slight decline. We don't know yet if this is an anomaly or if this rookery has topped out as far as population. From what I have been told, we need a few more years of data before the smart people figure that out. Most elephant seals return to the beach they were born on. So keep this in mind as we discuss breeding, as you will see these guys have a problem with their gene pool. January until March include the birthing and breeding season. The molting season occurs between March and September. From September to December is the fall haul out. We will discuss all the seasons, but by far the most interesting season is the birthing and breeding season. The video here is really quiet if you listen. This is just a typical day at the rookery during breeding season. You can see all kinds of elephant seals with their pups. If you look real hard, so right there in the middle, you'll see a male elephant seal, and that's his harem around him. Late November, the first bulls start to show up on the beach. They are clocking in at about 5,000 pounds. They have been eating up in their northern Alaskan foraging grounds, and they are ready to mate. The goal is to stake out an area in the sand that they control, as the females are coming soon. This big guy has challengers trying to come in to mate with his harem. First, you could hear that distinct vocalization. Each male has a sound that they make that other males recognize. And when he makes that sound, oftentimes the other males will scatter. As you can see in the video here, these males that were challenging aren't as big as the male, the dominant male, and they scattered pretty quickly. This guy decided to stay and try to fight. As you can see, they rear up high, facing each other, and throw their considerable weight at each other, their teeth biting into each other's flesh. These fights are serious, but as far as we know, not deadly. The winner has the right to the harem. This photo shows the chest shield of an experienced male elephant seal. The longer they've been around, the more scarring they will have on that chest, and this guy looks like he's been around for a while. So the males started showing up late November. They are fighting over territory, and then in December, the females start showing up. They have also been up in the cold northern waters around Alaska foraging. They are pregnant and have been since they left the beach in the last breeding season. They gather in groups or harems. These harems are controlled and protected by the most dominant bull in that area. Some of these harems get up to 50 female elephant seals. The big bulls will often employ lesser bulls to shore up the sides of the harem, warding off potential challengers. And these guys will often get rewarded by the ability to mate with a few females. Prior to mating, they wait for the females to give birth. The mom showed signs of discomfort. The baby came along soon after. This is heralded by the sight of seagulls flying over to clean up the afterbirth. And this is a really neat thing to see if you're ever up there during birthing season. You'll be watching the beach, lots of activity, and then all of a sudden a flock of seagulls will fly over. And that is a telltale sign that there is a mom giving birth. It's a very exciting time at the beach, and if you have a chance, you should get there. It's between January and February when the most action is taking place. So each mom gives birth to one pup. And I want to talk a little bit about the process of pregnancy of elephant seals. It's quite unique. They become pregnant approximately 1 month after they give birth. So they're pregnant for 11 months out of the year. And they pretty much are pregnant almost every year of their life from about age 4 or 5 until they pass. Occasionally, a year or two is skipped with these ladies, but most years they are pregnant. So the male and the female meet, the sperm and the egg meet, and this forms the zygote. This zygote does not implant right away. It does not become an embryo. The mom then, after nursing, will head up to Alaska. She'll spend a few months up there foraging, and she will come back down to the elephant seal rookery to molt, which we will talk about later. As she molts, a hormone is released, the zygote implants and becomes an embryo, and then the cells divide and it becomes the baby that you see here on the screen. The moms nurse their pups for about 1 month. The pup goes from 60 pounds at birth to 200 pounds in that 1 month. Now, some pups become what we call super weaners. These guys are smart enough to get milk off of multiple moms, and they will go from that same 60 pounds to 400 to 500 pounds in the same amount of time. These guys are very successful. They have a high chance of returning the next year. After the month, the male will get her pregnant, and off she goes back towards Alaska to start eating again. This photo just shows the scene at the rookery with all the elephant seals lying around. And if you look carefully, you can see multiple pups, most of them nursing with their moms. The dominant male will protect the harem from other males coming in and trying to mate. This is a pretty cool photo. So one thing I don't think I've talked about yet is that when elephant seals are on the beach, when they haul out, they don't eat. And if you've ever been up there, you can thank them for that, because if they don't eat, they don't poop. And thousands of elephant seals pooping on the beach in front of you probably wouldn't smell very good. So they don't eat for the 3 months that they are there for the mating season. These guys, the bottom picture there, that's a 5,000-pound elephant seal coming out, ready to go. I know he doesn't look too ready to go, but that's how an elephant seal looks when he's ready to go. And he's been there for 3 months, and then on that top photo, he's lost 40% of his body weight. He's leaving weighing about 3,000 pounds. So the moms leave, and the babies don't know how to swim yet, and they really don't know how to feed themselves yet either, other than drinking milk from their moms, but mom's gone. So for protection, they gather into weaner pods. And if you go up there right now, this is what you're going to see. A bunch of babies or pups laying around together. I guess at this point we call them weaners, laying around together. They do this for protection. And then eventually they go out into the ocean, and they learn all the skills it takes to be an elephant seal and to swim. So if you are lucky enough, you will get out. When you get out there, you will witness the wiener swimming school. So as the pups begin leaving the beach and start their first journey north, the adult females begin to return. Thus begins the spring molt. This is a busy time at the rookery. So elephant seals undergo what we call a catastrophic molt. So you and I, we lose cells all year long. So we molt all year long. And the elephant seals can't do this because they live in very cold water most of the time. And they have a couple of thermal protection measures that they can use to keep their body warm. One is they divert their blood flow under their blubber layer. So this keeps them warm, but it decreases the metabolism at the surface. So with the decreased metabolism, the body is not able to shed the cells at the surface slowly like we do. So they make their swim back down to Piedras Blancas. They haul out, they get warm, and then it all comes off in layers. It comes off really quick, probably within 2 to 3 weeks. They usually are out for the molting season for about a month, but the molt takes place fairly quickly. And as you can see here, it's just shedding off in large numbers. As spring leaves and summer begins, the adult females begin to leave, and the subadult and adult males arrive for their molt. There's really not any fighting going on, and as you can see here, there's a bunch of males laying around together. If this were breeding season, any two males that close together would be fighting, not laying next to each other. And they do some sparring though, which is basically play fighting or practice fighting. So he made his vocalization there and made those guys a little uncomfortable, but they didn't move. And you can see the skin on these guys, it's all coming off pretty quickly. Again, another picture of male elephant seals laying around next to each other, mostly sleeping, but doing a little bit of sparring also. The fall haul out arrives next, and the fall haul out begins, which is the non-breeding elephant seals. They are hauling out to rest. So this is prior to breeding season. They don't sleep much while in the ocean, and they get quite a bit of sleep, up to 10 hours a day, I believe it is, when they are out when they haul out. But there's always time for sparring too. These guys are practicing to be future beach masters. And as I said earlier, a lot of resting and a little bit of play. So how do we know the information that we know? Citizen scientists, so volunteers get involved for census counts and for tracking and other information that they can gather for elephant seals on the beach. The large picture there shows an elephant seal with something on its body. So this is a transponder. It's a GPS. It gives plenty of data to the people tracking it. It's a GPS, so it will tell you where the elephant seal is. It can tell you how deep the elephant seal is diving. And kind of a neat thing that we've seen lately is they've attached cameras to these. And so one of the things we found out, and I thought this was really cool because you can define science a lot of ways, but one of the ways I define science is it's the best information that we have at the time. And so we used to believe that elephant seals mostly ate squid. Why? Because when we did autopsies, we found lots of squid beaks. We put these cameras on and we found out they do eat squid, but they eat a lot of other fish too. It just so happens that squid beaks don't digest very quickly. So when they were autopsied, there was lots of squid beaks left in their bellies. Other ways that we track them are these color-coded flipper tags. The colors correspond to different rookeries, and the numbers will tell the person that is monitoring this elephant seal which elephant seal it is. Now, the next picture over is not a brand. That is hair dye that's used to also identify a particular elephant seal. So some of the data that we've collected are the migration patterns of the elephant seal. At the very bottom of this picture is Piedras, Blancas, Rookery. And then as you go up north, that's Alaska and the Alaskan waters. You can see as the slide shows, the blue is males, the red is females. And you might notice a fairly distinct difference in the migration patterns. The males tend to hug the continental shelf. The females tend to go out into the deeper water. And why, you may ask? Well, the males are bigger. They're not as worried about their predators. There's more food along the continental shelf. So they tend to stay there where they feel fairly safe and are able to get enough food to get to their 5,000 pounds. The females are very deep divers. They can dive down to 5,000 feet. And they go out into the open water and they spend their time diving there. So what does an elephant seal do all day when they are not at the rookery? Well, eat mostly. This chart describes a day in the life of a female elephant seal. The horizontal or x-axis is time. The vertical or y-axis is depth. And you can see that they don't spend much time at the surface. This is where their predators will hit them. So they hit the surface, they oxygenate, they exhale, and they dive deep. Now you can see a couple of areas where they've dove really deep or spent a long time. And this is probably times when they were sleeping. She will catch little 15, 20-minute naps as she's diving down, come back up, oxygenate, and they're diving for food and also to be able to sleep. When an elephant seal is ready to dive, she exhales almost all of the air out of her lungs. This makes her negatively buoyant. An elephant seal's blood volume by weight is 22% compared to 8% in humans. The concentration of hemoglobin, which is molecules that transport oxygen through the bloodstream, is 20 to 24 grams per deciliter compared to humans, which is 1 to 17 grams. Their percent of red blood cells is higher, about 60% compared to ours at 35 to 50%. And the elephant seal has a concentration of myoglobin. Myoglobin are simply molecules that store oxygen in heart and skeletal muscle. And the concentration of myoglobin is 8% higher than in humans. Lastly, they're able to utilize almost all of their stored oxygen in a dive, as they will often end dives with oxygen saturation as low as 8%. Now, if you've ever been to the doctor, they put one of those things on your finger to tell what your oxygen saturation level is. And if it got below 90%, you might end up in the hospital. So you can see they have quite a big difference in their ability to use the oxygen that they store. And this gives them the unique ability to dive deep and stay long so that they can eat. Well, elephant seals, their main predators are orcas and great whites. These are about the only two that are big enough to catch them and eat them. They do have a third predator that's not shown here. It's called a cookie cutter shark. It's a small shark with very sharp teeth, and it takes little circular size bites out of them. You will often see an elephant seal up at the rookery with holes in them, and this is because it was attacked by a cookie cutter shark. They're pretty fierce looking animals for as small as they are. This is an elephant seal that's been bitten by a shark. Elephant seals also face man-made problems, and we're often asked, when do we get people involved with a sick elephant seal? And the answer is usually when it's a man-made problem, and if it's solvable without hurting the elephant seal or other elephant seals and the human that's trying to help them. I'm not positive that this is this picture, but I believe this picture came from this year. I know we had an elephant seal that came out with a rope around its neck, And she was saved, as far as I know. They were able to get the rope off. I'm sure they tagged her and are tracking her, and we all hope she's still safe. So as I said earlier, elephant seals eat a lot of things. They eat squid, octopus, crabs, skates, rays, hagfish, and lanternfish. Lanternfish are fish that live really deep and they glow. And this makes it easier for the elephant seals to find them. Okay, so elephant seals are magnificent creatures that have survived despite some incredible odds. If you remember, all northern elephant seals come from that original pod of approximately 25 to 50. I also mentioned a few other facts. The first is that they usually return to the beach they were born on. And lastly, that only the biggest and strongest males end up breeding. In fact, only the top 1 to 2% of males breed, often with up to 50 females in a season. As you can see then, there is a genetic bottleneck, as there is not much genetic variation in these animals. What happens if something, say like the bird flu, gets in their population? Time will tell. And for now, we get to witness this grand spectacle as it plays out on the beaches near Piedras Blancas. In spite of their challenges, the elephant seals have gone from this original and small colony to about 250,000. We did it. Mankind made a difference. Through smart actions, cooperation with scientists, and good laws, the elephant seals have made a major comeback. They're spectacular to see in person, and I hope you all get up to see them. I'm at the Rookery on most Tuesdays in the afternoon, and I would love to share these guys with you. I'm going to turn over the presentation and take some questions from you guys. Let me see if I can get out of this, because like I said, I'm not really good at this stuff. There we go.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Dave. That was excellent, very informative. For me, I can't see any questions in the chat. You did a very good job of explaining everything.
I either bored them all to death or
Yeah. I don't know if Bob or Wendy can see any questions in the chat, but for me, I don't see any. But I do know that, most of us that live in SLO certainly take all of our guests up there.
yeah.
And we really appreciate the Friends of the Elephant Seals being there to shepherd us through and give us explanations of what's happening. So we really appreciate the volunteers up there and the opportunity to have this in our great county. So, Bob or Wendy, do you
Questions have
see?
come in. Questions have come in.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions. So if you could help me out, that would be awesome.
All right. I'll just start reading them. I don't know why they're coming to me. Is there a reason that the pups are black?
They're not all black.
All right.
So there's no reason.
Okay, that's good. Talk about what's needed to be a volunteer.
It's a pretty unique process. I was amazed at how much they put you. I actually felt like I was taking a college class in elephant seals. You can go to the Friends of the Elephant Seal website, and there's a place there where you can click on. It'll give you some more information, but basically they'll get you signed up. They'll put you through the classes. Most of it's on Zoom like this, so you don't have to go anywhere. They'll mentor you. They'll get you together with an experienced guide up there and show you what we do, and then release it on the public, and you can share your facts with them.
Super. Another question: does anything eat the molted skin? In other words, why isn't the beach littered with that afterwards?
I think it just blows away.
Okay. Are the elephant seals going back and forth from as far as Alaska as they go through the haul out and breeding season?
Yeah, so they make this migration 2 times a year, and it's about a 30 to 40 day swim each way. So it is quite a feat that they do this twice a year.
All right. Another question: are there elephant seals somewhere else around the Pacific, for example, Japan, Russia, Korea?
So there are southern elephant seals. They're larger. I don't know much about them, except they live in kind of the same areas in the southern hemisphere as these guys do in the northern hemisphere.
Okay. Here's something confused about the math. 50% survive, but also 66% of males survive and 6 of 7 females survive. Math's not my strong suit.
So after the first year, there's a high mortality rate. After that, the mortality rates decrease quite a bit, but they still do not come back every year.
Okay. Somebody is asking a question here that I think I know about. And how did the heavy rainstorms a few years ago affect the population of Santa
Yeah, that
Margarita?
was first off, it was just sad to witness. We tend to want the best for these guys, and it just seems so tough. You'd see the moms and the babies crying, and the elephant seals getting washed out. I mentioned that they aren't born knowing how to swim, so when they get washed into the water, the moms have to go get them, and the moms do recognize their babies' voices and vice versa. So you would hear a mom making her noise out to the ocean until she could hear a baby, and sometimes she would find him and go get him. It was really heartwarming. And I personally do not have all the census data, but I believe it did have a pretty good effect on it.
Okay. Next question is, do the males or females hunt and eat together, or is it a solitary?
Yeah, I guess I didn't cover that. I'm sorry. So it's pretty neat because when you see them, they are together in a group. They're always on land in groups. But they go out into the ocean by themselves and they're completely solitary. So that's a good question. Thank you.
All right. And another question, do any of the seals visit the Channel Island populations?
They sometimes mix together. Yeah. We'll get, remember I was talking about those flipper tags that have the different colors. And sometimes at our rookery, you'll see elephant seals that came from other rookeries.
Okay. The next one, sea otters were also reduced down to a colony of 50 or so in the 1930s, yet only 3,000 now exist in California, where there's a large gap, and there are many more up in Alaska. Why did elephant seals make such a dramatic comeback up to 250,000 compared to sea otters?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure I have a great answer because really all we did is stop killing them. I mean, we didn't do anything else but stop killing them, and they survived. And why sea otters haven't? Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, that's a good answer. Last one I have here is any specific tips on going through the training process? This person, David, is starting it soon, and anything that you might do differently to get more out of it. Any pitfalls to avoid?
So you're going to get a lot of information, and information is good, but it can be boring when you just present information. One of the things, and it was hard to do here because I'm talking to a computer screen, so I kind of have to be the sage on the stage here. But when you're up at the elephant seal rookery, um, watch the guides that are up there, the docents that are up there, that really interact well with the tourists. Um, it's way more fun to have a conversation with people than it is to tell them what you know, in my opinion.
Here's a good one for you. Have you done any diving around elephant seals, and how do they behave toward humans?
Oh no, elephant seals dive in cold water. I'm a warm water guy. But I have had, so at the aquarium when I dove for them, we had seals and sea lions that we dove with. They tend to they tend to leave us alone. They do get curious, and I've had actually out towards Catalina, I've had one come up to me. They like the glow of the mask, so sometimes they'll come and tap your mask, or they'll take your flipper and scare the heck out of you. So they can be a little playful, and they're very big animals, so you got to be careful with them, especially when we were at the aquarium. I remember this is kind of a silly story, but I was getting ready to get into the exhibit, and the guy who runs the exhibit came up to me and he said, the sea lions are in heat and the male is going a little crazy. And I said, well, what does that mean? And he said, well, he might grab you and take you to the bottom. And I said, well, what do I do? He said, you can't do anything. You just got to lay there. And I said, I'm a volunteer and I have to be submitted to rape by an elephant, by a sea lion in order to do this job. So we had a good laugh, but he left me alone.
All right, here's one from my friend Steve Schubert. Are there yet any observations of the San Simeon site release of condors feeding on elephant seal carcasses?
Okay, so my knowledge of birding, I hate to say, is really, really weak. We do see birds feeding on elephant cell carcasses. What they are, I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. And last thing is please pass on thanks to all the docents and scientists that are sharing information about these creatures. Amazing
Cool.
opportunity to see them. Compliment from someone, from Anne.
Awesome.
And that's all I have, Nancy.
Well, thank you guys for
Well,
letting me share all
yeah.
this with you, and I hope it was somewhat entertaining. It's the first time I've done this on Zoom, so it was a challenge for me, but I really enjoyed giving the information, and I hope you enjoyed hearing it.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, David. So thank you so much. Thanks everybody for listening. You're getting several thumbs up if you can't see,
I can see a few
and you're
here.
getting some comments about what a great presentation it was. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your information. Thank you for volunteering in our county. And yeah, for everybody online, thanks. Don't forget about our April 23rd meeting. And we look forward to our next opportunity to get together. So thanks, everybody.